Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekly morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about this phenomenal crash that is going on Bitcoin right now. Today, we're going to learn how to think like the institutions. We're going to learn how to think like the whales that caused this crash. And we're going to learn exactly what we need to be doing right now to make sure we are taking advantage of this opportunity in Bitcoin. If it's not already obvious to you, I want to make sure that it becomes obvious to you. This crash should not have happened. All of the technical indicators were pointing to us rallying. Everything is pointing towards Bitcoin going towards about $125,000. And the fact that we're not is interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? We had the buy signal from Lux Algo. We had the we had the RSI moving in the right direction on daily, weekly, monthly. We have Donald Trump being inaugurated in about 2 weeks. We have 20 different states in the union discussing, and it's about to go into their, their individual congresses, a strategic Bitcoin reserve for those states. We've got nations all around the world looking at a strategic reserve for Bitcoin, and yet Bitcoin drops down to $94,000 after having broken above $100,000 up to 102. Why? That doesn't make much sense. It does not make logical sense. Why did that happen? I'm here to postulate that it was manipulation so that the whales and the institutions can buy in more before the coming rally, because we're going to have a golden bull market here in the next couple of months, and those people wanted an extra opportunity to acquire more. And so if we want to become a whale, then we've got to start thinking like whales. What generally happens is that people get freaked out and they sell on red, and then they buy on green. And then they scratch their head and say, well, I wonder why I don't have any money. Probably because you flushed it all down the toilet towards people with more experience than you. And so today we're going to talk about where Bitcoin is, what the play is right now by the institutions and what our play should be, and where Bitcoin's going to go. If you're new here, my name is Jeb McAfee. I've been working in the cryptocurrency space for about 7.5 years, and I love teaching you guys how to succeed with money. That's my true passion, is I want you guys to have a successful life. I want you to be free from debt. I want you to have a budget. I want you to be generous. I want you to invest. I want you to have control. And I want you to be living on less than you make. I want you to follow the laws of money, and I want you to prosper because you did so. And I also want to see what's going to happen in the rest of your life after you have enacted all of this financial change in your life. I like seeing you guys prosper. That's the only reason I come here every single day, after making sure my family's provided for. But obviously I could have a different job. I do this because I love helping you guys succeed. So let's talk about that today. Big shout out to everyone who's joining us live today. Queenie is in chat. Joe Bollier's in chat. Christopher Ryans, Blasnik, Crypto Carter, your boy 91, The Drake Equation, Forked in Fire, Iron Kitchen is here. Music Revelation is in here, is in chat. Burns 108, The Agnostic Amphibian, Mike Davis, Philly Skills, Angela, and more. Welcome everybody to stream. Rock and Metal News. It was me, 007, Rolando Lima, Queen, and more. Welcome everyone who is here, everyone who's tuning in live or after the video is done. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. Before we do, I do just want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you in part by NordVPN. If you have not already signed up for NordVPN, you absolutely should. Here's a really simple reason why. Hackers and thieves understand that you are making a lot of money right now. And if you don't know by now, your devices and your browsers track what you've looked up online. And so that information is out there. if a thief gets access to that and sees that you're looking up a lot of things about cryptocurrency, they're going to peg you as being very wealthy, because a lot of people in crypto are making a lot of money right now, which means you, because of this tracking that goes on, have a target on your back, because thieves can see what you've been looking at. A lot of times, if they get that information, they can see kind of a character of you. Have you ever wondered why YouTubers that are in the finance space make more money on their YouTube ads than somebody that's in the gaming space? Typically, if you're watching a lot of cryptocurrency videos or a lot of Dave Ramsey videos or a lot of Graham Stephan videos, it's because you've got money and you're trying to figure out how to manage it. So those ads have to pay more. That information is accessible to Google. It's accessible to Apple. It's accessible to all these different companies, but it's also accessible quite often to the hackers and thieves. And so you've got a target on your back, and NordVPN is going to help keep you safe so that those thieves don't come for you as you are trying to stay safe online. NordVPN is going to keep you safe by keeping you invisible so those hackers and thieves cannot see you, so they won't know what's going on. But even if they do find out about you, they won't be able to get through to hack you. So if you've not already, make sure to sign up for NordVPN. The link's in the description box down below. And if you go to nordvpn.com/Jeb, then you're going to find a deal that is going on right now. Let me just go ahead and show you. I believe it's still active, so let's take a look. Right here. There's a New Year's deal going on right now. Our exclusive New Year's deal, big savings and 4 months extra. If you go to get the deal here, you can see that you can get 28 months, for $93. Absolutely worthwhile. You should absolutely sign up for NordVPN with the link in the description box down below. Let's get started. Bitcoin right now is trading at $95,239 and has witnessed a quite substantial corrective movement over the last few quite substantial corrective movement over the last couple of days. We saw a drop from $102,700 down about $8,000, about 8% down to $94,000, acting like it's still 2020 here over the last 24 to 48 hours. That doesn't make sense. Oh, Jeb, you were wrong, and you don't like it, and you're just going to chalk it up to manipulation. I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong, but we had every green light. So this is suspicious. We had every single green light, every last one of them. The buy signal came in from Luxalgo. It's normally not wrong. RSI, we broke above the 14 interval moving average, broke up to 50. We had a buy signal on the MACD. MACD was flashing bullish because we had the bullish MACD cross. The Crypto Jeb oscillator, which is normally extremely accurate, we had that flipping bullish. On the 20 exponential moving average, we had broken above the 20 daily exponential moving average and then bounced off of it. We had broken everything. Everything was looking great. We had huge rallies going on across the altcoin space, and then it just stops. Why? Normally, you can figure out why a Bitcoin corrective movement happened from the technicals or the fundamentals, and when you can't, is when we got to put the plaid hat on and bring out the magnifying glass, because there's something suspicious afoot here, Sherlock. Wouldn't you notice that on the day that crash began, which was early on Tuesday, we saw a huge amount of buying going on? Isn't it interesting that we've got this buying going on over here, $978 billion happening on Monday, and then it vanishes on Tuesday? Who stopped buying? The retail. Who started buying? BlackRock. BlackRock has been acquiring Bitcoin over the last couple of days. Is it any surprise? Is it any surprise that the market is crashing right now when BlackRock has been in the space for less than 18 months? But BlackRock and Larry Fink at the helm now understand that Bitcoin is the future of finance. Bitcoin is the new S&P 500. Bitcoin, on an annualized basis, has destroyed Bitcoin over the last several years. Sorry, the Bitcoin has destroyed the United States S&P 500 over the last several years. Whenever there's a rally, Bitcoin massively beats it. BlackRock wants in. The institutions want in. All of the ETF filants want in. The whales want in. Where did this crash come from? If we go on over to coinglass.com, we take a look at the liquidation data. We come on over to liquidation right here. You can see that over the last couple of days, we saw a few major liquidation events. $145 million got liquidated yesterday at 10 a.m. We saw over the rest of that day, hundreds of millions of dollars get liquidated. There's two things going on right now that have led to this crash. Number one, I do believe that there is genuinely market manipulation going on. That's not something we normally say. I don't like saying that because I don't like chalking up a correction, especially when I predicted it was going to rally to market manipulation, because it seemed like a cop-out. I'm not a big fan of that. But knowing just how bullish the sentiment is right now, knowing just how big of a rally is on the horizon, knowing just how bullish the fundamentals are, and we can talk about stuff being priced in all we want, but a lot of the things that were quote-unquote priced in have not happened yet. In fact, we don't even know for sure they're going to happen. Like 20 United States building a strategic Bitcoin reserve, an SBR, or about 24 other nations, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Hong Kong, Germany, etc., building a strategic Bitcoin reserve. These things are not confirmed. The next year, the next 12 months on Bitcoin, if things go even half as well as it seems like they're going to, is going to be enormous. So why is Bitcoin crashing? Ask yourself a question. Who is selling? Are you? I'm not. I'm not that dumb. No. I think on the one hand, there's market manipulation going on, which is why Bitcoin's correcting. Now, there is one other reason why I think Bitcoin is correcting here. And part of that is because Donald Trump is perceived as a very strong president economically. He stated yesterday that interest rates and inflation are, quote, too high and wants to work to bring those down. And the United States dollar has been gaining strength. The United States dollar has been gaining strength aggressively since the night of his election. Not just around his election, since the morning after the election, the dollar has been gaining a large amount of strength. People are betting on the dollar because they sense that there is a strong president coming in. And so the dollar's been gaining strength. When the dollar gains strength, risk-off assets do not perform as well. So while the Trump effect has helped Bitcoin in the short term, because Bitcoin has naturally benefited from the idea of Trump being president and also from the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve in dozens of governments, Bitcoin is also being threatened by the fact that the dollar is looking stronger. When you see the president of the United States saying inflation needs to come down and so do interest rates, then people typically deploy cash into risk-off markets. In other words, when the dollar is strong, people have an inclination, investors have an inclination to buy the stock market and risk off assets, because why wouldn't they? When you see the dollar not being strong is when people start saying, I need to go jump into Bitcoin because I don't trust the United States dollar. And so if interest rates are coming down, that means the dollar gets easier to use because debt is cheaper. If inflation comes down, that means that the dollar is more stable, which means it acts as a better store of value, which makes Bitcoin's value proposition less valuable. Does that mean that Bitcoin's not going to thrive in this cycle? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Bitcoin's going to do exceptionally well. But what it does mean is that in the short term, you're going to have difficulty you're going to have a little bit of headwind. So on the one hand, I do believe that we saw some manipulation here. On the other hand, I also think that the strength of the dollar is negatively impacting Bitcoin. And then there is also a small third component, and that is that the stock market is kind of in this limbo right now, just trading sideways, not really doing a whole lot. So Bitcoin is not rallying right now because of the United States S&P 500. So where do we go from here? Again, I think that a part of this, now we don't know how much of it, but I do think a part of this has to do with some manipulation going on. I think a lot of the whales, especially BlackRock, Fidelity, the other big institutions, they want to buy in as much as they possibly can. Why wouldn't they? Someone in chat was just saying that, I don't know if Jeb does this, but some people say such and such to pump their bags. I have a big audience. I don't have a big enough audience to move the market. I talk about Bitcoin every day. Yeah, me and everyone watching this video times 1,000 is not big enough to move the market. BlackRock, on the other hand, Definitely big enough to move the market. No doubt about it. In a year, BlackRock's customers are the largest holder of Bitcoin on planet Earth. They're neck and neck with MicroStrategy. I think they may have passed MicroStrategy at this point. And so that is a big enough institution to move the market. They've got motive. They've got a track record. They've got the ability. They've got the leadership. And like I said, they've got the motive. They've got the reason. Why wouldn't they? Bitcoin has an exceptionally bullish year ahead. So here's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, Bitcoin's going to move. Jeb's going to move Bitcoin. Exactly. I can't move Bitcoin. Walk up to a mountain and start pushing on it. Yeah, I'm going somewhere. Real. I can help you guys. I can't touch Bitcoin, man. I can't move it a bit. But here's what we need to consider. These institutions that may or may not, we don't know for sure, but may or may not have manipulated the market and caused this crash. Whether they did or not, the reason that they would be doing that, and even if they didn't manipulate the market, what they're doing right now, and we know this because we can see their buying activity, it's on chain. We know that they're buying. What they're doing right here, whether they manipulated it or not, the strategy is the same. They're buying the freaking dip. They're buying Bitcoin. And so should you. I made a video this morning. It's already out. You should watch it. In that video, I detailed the difference between a wise investor and a foolish investor. And one thing that a foolish investor does is that they do not take a long-term view. They get this idea that's very popular on X and extremely dangerous that I have to retire my entire bloodline this cycle. You have to temper your expectations of what Bitcoin can do. You've got to temper your expectations up and realize that it can do a lot, but you've also got to temper your expectations down and not think you're going to get 1,000x in Bitcoin this year. By the way, you're not going to get that anywhere else either, so slow down and have patience. Patience is a virtue. What are the exchanges doing right now? They're not buying Bitcoin to sell it in 6 months. No, they're buying Bitcoin to sell it in 10, 20, 30 years for business expansion and for the growth of their balance sheet, which increases investor value in the stock. We've got to continue to acquire and buy the dip. Well, Jeb, why do you say all that if you're just going to say buy the dip? Because I want you to understand why you buy the dip. One of the things that I hate seeing, I just despise it when I see a parent do this, is saying because I said so. My wife and I almost never say because I said so to our 3 children. Now, obviously, we don't say that to our 5-month-old, but because he has no idea what we're saying. But to our older kids, we almost never say because I said so. If a child asks why, one of our kids, if I tell my children to do something and they ask why, I say, obey me first, and after you obey, ask why, and I will be happy to explain. You need to be obedient to your parents, and I need to be obedient to God, even if I don't understand why. But after I've been obedient, it benefits me to understand why I had to do that, so that it brings down the barrier to my obedience. When my children say why, I say go do it, and after you do it, then I will explain. And then they go do it, and they say why, and I say this is why. Because if you run out on the road, you're going to get hit by a car. Because if you put your hand on the stove, you're going to get burned. Because if you don't eat your food, you're not going to grow big and strong. Whatever it is. Why should you buy the dip? Should you buy the dip? Yes. If you tune out of the video, do it. Why and how? Why is because the people that know what they're doing are doing that. Why do I do every single thing that the Bible tells me to do? And if I'm not, I need to repent. I'm sorry. Because God knows better. And if he says to do it, I'm going to do it. Why am I going to follow what BlackRock is doing? Because I agree with him morally? No. Not in the freaking slightest. If BlackRock's buying Bitcoin, if I've been buying Bitcoin and it works, and everybody else I know that is wise in Bitcoin is buying Bitcoin, why am I buying Bitcoin? Because people that know more than me are buying Bitcoin. That's number one. Number two, because of what we understand about the fundamental intrinsics of Bitcoin. So I need you to understand what the people that are wise and have a lot of money are doing right now. They're buying the dip. And they're continuing to buy on a fixed basis. What we do every single day is we buy Bitcoin on a daily basis. It used to be every once in a while. I used to buy Bitcoin just every once in a while. Those days are over. We buy Bitcoin every single day now. Every single day. And you should too. And when Bitcoin dips, you buy more. So let's talk a little bit about where Bitcoin is actually going, because people are freaked out about this crash. Whether this crash bottoms out here or it bottoms out here, which is a possibility. We could drop back down to 91.2. Very, very, very real possibility. Could totally happen. We could even drop back down as low as $85,000. We could drop back down to one of these levels. Totally possible. Totally possible. If that occurs, the further you go down, the further you buy. My wife and I realized a very interesting principle of life this morning, which I think applies here. When something is hard, that thing that you most don't want to do is exactly what you should do. Whatever it is that you don't want to do when things get hard is probably what you should do. When you have no money, because you spend all your money, and that's hard because you have no money, you have to do the thing that you most don't want to do. What do you most not want to do? Cut your spending. When your house is a mess because you think you have no time, the thing you least want to do is slow down and clean your house. It's the last thing you want to do. I don't have time to clean my house. But that's the exact thing you have to do, is the thing you least want to do. As Bitcoin gets lower, you're going to want to buy Bitcoin less and less and less because it's appealing. It's becoming less and less appealing. And as it gets lower and lower and lower, you should be buying more of it because you don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy Bitcoin, so I'm going to buy it. I don't want to buy Bitcoin, so I'm going to buy it. As Bitcoin gets down to 91, 85, 79, I don't know, wherever it goes, the further it goes down, the more you buy. Should you dump everything in right now? No. What we do, and what I encourage you to do, is set a daily or a weekly dollar cost average that you can sustain forever. And if you get to a point where you can't sustain that, then keep the daily frequency, just lower the amount. We've done that before. We've lowered how much we put in daily, increased how much we put in daily, but we always do daily. If it gets to a point and I can only put in $1 a day, I'm going to put in $1 a day. But we buy Bitcoin on a daily basis. Depending on how much money we have, we buy more or less. But generally, we buy it on a daily basis. And then if we have more money, then we keep that in cash, which is where the daily purchase is coming from, is from that cash pool. And if you drop a lot, then the further you drop, the more you buy. Does that make sense? If we're at 95 and we were just at 102, we might put 10% of our cash in. If we drop another $4,000 and drop down to 91,000 or $90,000, maybe we'll put in 15% of our cash. We increase the investment as the market goes lower. In markets, we have a very good reason to believe we'll generate returns in the long run, like S&P 500, like Bitcoin, like real estate, whatever it is. As prices go down, you buy more. That's the simple principle. So, where's Bitcoin going to go? Short term, medium term, long term. Short term, Bitcoin has broken below the 200 daily moving average. The 20 daily exponential moving average, which means we are technically in bearish territory. That being said, sell signal has not flashed. So currently, I would say that the near term future is looking like a bottom around $91,278, somewhere around there. That's what I think is going to happen. Somewhere around there, we're going to see the bottom. That has been our local bottom, and there is a very high chance that we're going to see a megaphone pattern building here. And so when that occurs, we're going to want to pay very close attention to the buy, right? If we drop down to 91.2, then we're going to want to look and see if we want to acquire some more. If we drop below that, then we'll acquire even more. If we drop down to 91.2 and we see this invert into a sell signal, trend catcher is red, so it's very possible, then we could see ourselves drop back down to 87. Why 87? 87 is this local level that we set as a support back here in November of 2024, and so that would be the next level we'd be looking at, 91.2 and 87.4. Ultimately, what I believe is going to happen is you're going to see a reversal in the next couple of weeks, and then you're going to see us rally on up towards $125,000. So medium term, we're looking at 125, maybe even a little bit higher, which means that if you're acquiring down here at 95, you go to 125, you're looking at like a 25 to 27, 28% return. In a good year, that's what the stock market does. On Bitcoin, you could look at that in 3 months. Those of you that are investors have to understand something very simple, and that is you can only manipulate 3 variables when it comes to investment. There's only 3 things you can change. People that have more money than you have done better at manipulating these 3 variables. And it's very simple. They're the 3 variables you plug into a compound interest calculator. You plug in time, which is just patience and health, so you don't die. You plug in your principal, both your starting principal and your allocation every month. So that's your starting point, and your income. Your starting point does matter. If you start out with $15 million, then you're going to go further than somebody that started out with none if you invest the same amount every month. But what you can almost always control is how much you're going to put in on a regular basis. And for us, I know the number. I know how much money we put aside for our company and for ourselves every month into savings, into investments. That is our savings rate. That is our savings amount, right? And as a ratio of our total income, that's our savings rate. It's a very important number. If you don't know what your savings rate is, you need to figure it out. I recommended that it's 15% towards retirement, and I don't really care where you invest that so long as it's something that you think will be worth way more in 30 years than it is now, or 10 years, 20 years, whatever, however far away you are. For us, what we do is we max out our Roth IRAs, we dump the rest of it into Bitcoin. That's pretty much been our strategy for a while. Every year we max out our Roth IRAs, and we dump whatever else is there into Bitcoin or into our mortgage. And that's how we end up, increasing our net worth by, a lot of money every single year. So you can impact your patience, which is a direct function of your spiritual maturity and your physical health. 2, you can impact how much you invest on a regular basis. You can't so much impact your starting point, but you can create a future starting point by changing how much you invest right now. And 3, you can impact your rate of return. The rate of return is not just reward, it's also risk. You can say, well, Jeb, I don't need much money if I go make a 10,000x. Yeah, you could do that, or you could also lose the $5 that you got and the 2 nickels that you have left to rub together, right? So the people that succeed are the people that get all 3 of those honed in. They're patient, they're healthy, they're consistent, they're disciplined. They invest, that's number 1. Number 2, they invest a lot on a regular basis by increasing their income and living on less. They're not monks living in a cave in Nepal, but they live on less than they make, whatever that means in your situation. And number 3, they look for the best return. Right now, the best return in any market anywhere in the world is Bitcoin. What are you talking about, Jeb? I can get a better return on altcoins, not with the same risk. There is not a single investment on planet Earth that I am aware of that has a better risk-to-reward ratio over the last 10 years than Bitcoin. Not one. Why do you think it's being adopted by nation states? Because it is why is the S&P 500 not adopted? Why don't nations adopt ETF shares of the S&P 500? Why not? First of all, it's not a commodity, and typically you back your economy with a commodity, not a stock market, because the commodity doesn't change its underlying principles, and the stock market can. But 2, because Bitcoin is beating the S&P 500 and has for a long time, which is why we have more money in Bitcoin than we do in the S&P. 1, because we've invested more in Bitcoin, but 2, also because Bitcoin has returned more. So you can impact those 3 variables: your patience, your rate of return, and your investment allocation. Foolish investors only do 1 or 2 of those, only optimize 1 or 2 of those. Wise investors optimize all 3. Foolish investors either are patient and they don't make any money, because they live in their mother's basement, and they work at McDonald's, and they eat out every single day. But they're patient. Time passes, whether you use it well or not. Or they have a high income, but they don't invest any of it. Or they have no income, so they don't invest any of it. Or 3, they've got a terrible rate of return. Either 1, because they're putting their money in bonds, so they're barely keeping up with inflation, or 2, because they're putting all their money in things that are too high risk. So on the one hand, you've got to be patient. On the second hand, you've got to actually invest. And on the third hand, you have to make sure that your risk-to-reward ratio is exactly where it needs to be. If you get these things right, you will make money. If you don't, you won't. Don't you just love how simple that is? Get that right, make money. Don't get it right, fail. Because you can invest a lot of money and you can get the perfect rate of return, but if you wait a month, you're not going to grow much at all. If you get a great rate of return and you wait 10 years, but you invest $5 a month, you're not going to get anywhere. And if you invest $1,000 a month and you do that for 10 years, but your rate of return is so low because you're in bonds that you get no return and you just kept up with inflation, you didn't go anywhere. Or on the other hand, if you put all your money into high-risk altcoins and lost your butt 7 times in those 10 years, you're not going to get anywhere either. But, and this is why Bitcoin is so successful and why people that buy Bitcoin succeed. If you buy Bitcoin for a long time, like I've done, if you put a lot of money into Bitcoin for a long time, like I've done, and you put money into Bitcoin, which has a great rate of return, which is a function of the risk and the reward, not just the reward, also the risk. Well, Jeb, the altcoins perform better than Bitcoin. Yeah, and they could also go belly up tomorrow because they're all way more centralized than Bitcoin. When you do that that equation with your investments, you'll end up succeeding. If you don't, you won't. I just like, people think I'm harsh sometimes. I just like making things real simple. It's that simple. Cool. Let's go ahead and read some chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. One House Production said, looking good, Jeb. Love to your family. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. The pulse of Sarah. Inquiring minds must know. She is definitely going through it. She is definitely going through it. Not feeling very well at all. No, we were actually late to the stream because we were at a doctor's appointment. Please be praying for her. She's definitely going through it. Queen said pernil today, Puerto Rico. We had pernil the other day, actually, on Three Kings Day. That was actually why I wasn't here on Monday and Tuesday. Actually, I'll take that back. I didn't make a video yesterday. I did go on stream yesterday. Is because we did we took off for Three Kings Day. If you don't know what Three Kings Day is, it is it's generally a Puerto Rican holiday, Hispanic holiday, but it's based on the three wise men that came and visited Jesus. So it's actually a Christian holiday. Pew Pew Poom 2 said, Jeb, contrarian bear view here. What happens if we hit recession and BlackRock dumps the Bitcoin, starting a rapid and deep? The macro signs are pointing to a recession or at least stagnation. Good. Recessions last 18 to 24 months. The last time that an economic recession lasted more than 24 months was the Great Depression. That was almost 100 years ago. If a recession happens, good. I will put so much money into Bitcoin. It's not even funny. I hope that happens. Could that happen? Is really your question. Could it happen? Not what would I do? Your question is, could it happen? Yeah, it totally could happen. BlackRock could totally do that. And you know why BlackRock would be doing that? BlackRock would do that to acquire more. They would basically be shorting Bitcoin on an enormous scale. If BlackRock goes and starts selling Bitcoin, which you've got to keep this in mind. People think, oh, BlackRock's got $30 trillion. No, they don't. They manage $30 trillion. It's not their money. It's their customers' money. BlackRock themselves manage a few $100 billion. The company themselves, their own assets are not as big as all of the assets under management. If BlackRock were to sell their share of Bitcoin, then because the rest of the Bitcoin is not BlackRock's, that's just the public's Bitcoin or company's Bitcoin. If BlackRock was to start selling their Bitcoin and trigger a sell-off, they'd basically probably be trying to short the market, where they would sell the market to buy back in lower, which is essentially a short trade. That's basically what you're doing. You're selling high to buy low. And that's exactly what they would do. They would probably crash the market. You could see a bear market, and then you would end up buying more. Right, customers who get freaked out at a 5% drop. Yeah, you're right. And so that's the thing, is that a lot of people do get freaked out about a 5% drop. I don't even notice it anymore. I watch our net worth go down by 10% because so much of it's in Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, who cares? That's fine. I have savings if I need cash. My investments are to be left alone. You understand why the financial sovereignty way is so important? We've got to ditch the debt. We've got to collect an emergency fund so that whenever our investments go down, we don't get freaked out, because the investments are not for today. They're for next year. They're for 10 years from now. They're for 30 years from now. When we start seeing if your investments drop and you freak out, that's a problem with you, not necessarily your investments. That's your issue, because it shouldn't freak you out, because you ought to understand the market enough to know that it's going to be okay. And if you don't, then you shouldn't have bought that asset. You get knocked on your asset if you're not careful. Just buy Bitcoin, DCA $5 a day is my plan. There you go. It's great. How low could Bitcoin get in a recession? It depends on how high we go. If Bitcoin goes to 200K, I could see Bitcoin dropping down to 80 or 90 or 100. If we go to 120, I could see Bitcoin dropping down to the previous all-time high at 60. It could happen. It could totally happen. And if it does, I will be right there, ready to buy in with cash. Our strategy is simple and has been for a long time. We run a company. We teach you guys about Bitcoin. We help you guys to succeed financially. In return, we make money from that because we're a business. Newsflash, I'm a capitalist, not one of these freaking socialists trying to destroy our country. I love you, but I don't agree with you at all. We take the money, we invest it, and then we buy more Bitcoin. And then we do that on repeat. And that's kind of the whole deal, is I invest, make videos about it, teach you how I do it, make more money, invest more money. It's a cycle. It's awesome. I love my job. And so that's the area where we go. So as far as the recession, let's do some technical analysis to answer that question. It's a good question. So the first two bear markets in Bitcoin, Bitcoin dropped approximately 85% in both of those corrective movements. In both of the first two bear markets, we saw an 85% crash. 85% drop here in the 2013 through 15 bear market. In the previous bear market, sorry, not the previous bear market, the 2018 bear market, we saw an 83% drop. 2 more. And then in the last bull market, we saw a 76%. Let's make sure we're as accurate on this as we can. We saw a 77% drop. So 85. Oop. There we go. 85%. 83%. 77%. Let's kind of look at the rate of change here. So the first change was from the first bull market to the second was a 2% change. This second bull market to the third bull market was a 6% change, a 3x. So let's just hypothetically say that we saw that happen again. I don't think it will, but let's say it happened again. 3 times 6 is 18, so 18% less than 77 is 69% crash. That sounds about reasonable. Wait, nope. 59% crash. That sounds about reasonable. Somewhere around 55 to 70% crash for the bear market sounds likely and reasonable to me. So let's call it 65. Let's call it 65. That'd be a 12% reduction in bear market size. Let's call it a 65% drop. That'd be 12% less than the 77% drop last time. If the bear market started now and we dropped 65%, that would drop us back down to $37,000. Does that sound likely? Not really. Remember, here on the log chart, we've got basically an uptrending level of support that's been in play basically all of Bitcoin's history. Something like this, right? It's actually more of a curve, so let's just go ahead and draw it correctly. We've got essentially a curve right here that is like this. And this is basically some version of this is essentially where the bottoms are on Bitcoin, right? So we'd probably be seeing a drop down to somewhere between, about 65%, but it would probably be above $45,000. So let's say Bitcoin went to $150,000. If we were to see a 65% drop from 150K, you're looking at a $52,000 Bitcoin. Does that sound crazy? Yeah, it does sound crazy. Well, I don't think Bitcoin's only going to go to $150,000. I think Bitcoin's going to go to probably about $200,000. If we saw a 65% drop from 200K, you're looking at a $70,000 Bitcoin. Wait a minute, that's a previous all-time high. I could totally see $73,800 being our bear market bottom. That still means that $97,000 is a great entry because you may never, or you may only briefly ever see these levels again. Fast forward 6 months, right? So the bear market, I think, will probably be somewhere between 55 to 70% in depth. Now, we've got to understand the reason for that, right? The why is important so that we can rationalize. The why is that Bitcoin is becoming mass adopted. If Cynthia Lummis's bill passes, it has zero to do with the price of Bitcoin. It's 200,000 Bitcoin a year, period. It makes no mention of the price of Bitcoin at the time. It makes no mention of the price of Bitcoin. It makes mention of the amount of Bitcoin, which is like 700 Bitcoin a day. Saylor, one of the other massive buyers of Bitcoin, buys Bitcoin whether it's in a bull market or a bear market. Why does Saylor matter? Well, you combine Saylor and the United States, and in the next 5 years, Saylor and MicroStrategy and the United States will probably hold 10 to 20% of all Bitcoin in existence. So that's a big considering factor. And those two individuals, company and country, rather, they buy Bitcoin pretty much no matter what the price is. So that means that you have a dampening effect on the depth of the bear market. Saylor has bought 2/3 of all the Bitcoin Saylor's ever bought has been bought here. He wasn't buying as much during this bear market because he was still getting started. He didn't have the money back then, right? So if Bitcoin does go into a traditional bear market, which it might not, but if Bitcoin does go into a traditional bear market, the drop is likely going to be substantially smaller than what we've seen before. So the bear market bottom probably will be somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. And it's probably going to be percentage-wise much smaller. So it's possible that the bear market bottoms out at $100,000. Maybe we go to 225 and we bottom out at 100. The point here, though, is that we don't know what's going to happen. What we know is what we know. What we speculate is what we speculate. Never shall the two meet, because the present and the future don't ever meet each other. You're in one or the other. You're in the present, which is what's happening in the now, and you're thinking about the future, which has not happened yet, so it's speculation. I can only speculate that 10 seconds from now, the sun won't explode, right? We can speculate about where Bitcoin will go in a bear market, but that doesn't mean we know where it's going to go in a bear market. So, in the event of a bear market, could we go below where we are right now? Yes. Is it a good idea to plan on that and forego investing right now? No, because the reward of that decision may be a 10% lower buy. The risk of that decision is that you never get in the first place, which is why we dollar cost average. If you want to succeed, dollar cost average. If you don't want to, stop. Insidia said never DCA. You're wrong. I love you. You're wrong. No one ever got anywhere without having a consistent strategy. No one. No one made up new rules to succeed. Oh, well, Jeb, what about in this sport? What about this sport? They got this innovative new thing. Well, let me tell you something. Everybody in basketball knows how to run, and they're all tall. Guess what? Everybody who's a tight end on a football team is 6'6", and they can run a crazy fast mile. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the first person who's 4 feet tall to win in the NBA. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. You might change, you might tweak something, but you're not upending the whole thing and winning. You don't get to not be consistent in investment and succeed. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to make up the new rules. If you were in the position to make up the new rules, then I guess you're the richest person on planet Earth and you got it all figured out. Everybody else is wrong. You're not. Neither am I. I'm not making up any new rules here. I'm teaching you the ones that work. I didn't invent them. There's almost nothing on this channel that I invented. Very few things are invented. Solomon said in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. Have you ever noticed all of our technology does something that nature does already? It just does it better. A car does what a horse does. It just does it better. Bitcoin does what gold does. It just does it better. You understand that, right? Like a scuba tank does what the atmosphere does. It just does it better. There's nothing new under the sun. There are different variations of things, but there's nothing truly new because we are not the creator of the universe. God is. We change things. We don't actually create new things. We make things that look like things that already exist. We can give birth to new humans, but we cannot give birth to humanity. Capiche? So we don't get to invent new laws of nature. We don't get to invent new laws of money. We get to follow the ones that exist or fail. Consistent investment is how you succeed. If you don't do that, don't expect to succeed. Unless you got a giant windfall and you got $10 million, just dump it all into the market right then. But even then, wherever you got the $10 million from, somebody in the lineage of that money was consistent. The sun is always exploding. Fusion. No, yeah, totally. You're right. Hydrogen fusing into helium. Look at all that exit liquidity here. Yep. DCA is the best, especially if you have conviction. Exactly. Let's see. Jeb, would the pandemic drop be closer to recession like macro as far as drops go since Bitcoin has never seen a recession? I think that Bitcoin, if there was a serious economic recession, which there was, there was not an officially called recession, but even the first quarter of 2020 was dubbed officially as a recession. 2020 through 2022 was a recession. They didn't call it a recession because they didn't want to be unpopular and they wanted to get reelected. Who's they? Congress and the president. They didn't call it a recession, but it was. What's a recession? GDP slows down. The only reason the GDP growth didn't slow down is because of inflation making the number go up. Number go up, no recession. Print money, no recession. Inflate away the currency, no recession. GDP didn't go down. GDP is defined, recession is GDP. A recession is defined by the United States federal government as 2 quarters of GDP shrinkage. That wasn't seen because of inflation. If you account for inflation, we were in a recession for a lot longer. So Bitcoin has seen a recession. And Bitcoin did this during that recession. Why? Because during a recession, people lose trust in the United States federal government, and if they have money, they dump it into Bitcoin. People didn't really have a lot of money here, so they didn't. Yeah, the bear market was bad. But if there is a recession, I still expect that the bear market will be less than a 70% correction. because people will be clutching their Bitcoin, not selling it. Lol, what if alt season already happened? I highly doubt it. Could it have? Maybe. I really, really, really doubt it. All right, let's read a little bit of chat here. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I would like to know, because I want to understand, what is your strategy if it's not dollar cost average? Because there's not many other strategies other than that, other than just randomly throwing money at the market. Silvio Barba said, "Hey Queen, why did you erase my message?" I don't know. Did she erase your message? I have no idea. I'm listening from Argentina, learning and happy to listen to a Christian crypto YouTuber. We love the Lord Jesus. If I make you the richest person on planet Earth and you don't get Jesus and you burn in hell for eternity, then I have not profited you anything. But if you listen to what we talk about, and most importantly, you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior because you need one, because you're a sinner and you have to repent if you want to survive in eternity and inherit eternal life, then you accept Jesus Christ. And then from there, on that foundation, not the roof, the foundation, then you build your life financially. That is where you're going to find true joy. But you have to get out of your own way and humble yourself because you think you know better. You think you know enough to save yourself, and you don't. It's not true. You can't save yourself. Only Christ can do that. And he'll only do it if you let him. Jeb's channel, buy Bitcoin, hold it. When it dips, buy more. Pretty much. Pretty much. Let's see. Buy Bitcoin $5 a day. Yep. Let's see. If we hit lower than 91K, Jeb, that's the lower low and lower high, and we close the month with a shooting star pattern. That's true. I think you mean a spinning top, right? Did I get that wrong? I think you mean a spinning top. Yeah, you mean a spinning top in January. Yeah. And listen, Bitcoin did need a corrective movement, so it's fine if we do get a correction. I hope we do. I hope Bitcoin falls through the floor for a little while. Evelis Diaz in chat said, "Good morning, Jeb. Good morning to you as well. Good to see you." He was one of our first subscribers, probably in the first 1,000. Holding is the worst strategy ever. This just drives me crazy. This is like when people tell me that the way that they're going to get rich is by putting everything on a credit card. And then they just like cycle it around. They like use one credit card to pay off the other credit card. Holding is the worst strategy ever. So what is the strategy then? What's the strategy? Fudokoku. What's the strategy then? If you're not going to hold the asset, what's the strategy? Keeping it in cash that's inflating away? What's the strategy? Exactly. So what's better? If that, it's real easy to criticize. It's hard to come up with something new. Why? Because there is nothing new under the sun. That's why it's hard to come up with something new. So quit trying to come up with something new. Buy low, sell high better. Nothing wrong with buy low, sell high. Nothing wrong with buy low, sell high. But that's not investment. That's trade. All right. Let's see. Strategy, if not DCA, is only to buy during periods of extreme pessimism. That is also true. And there's nothing wrong with that strategy. Nothing wrong with that strategy. Guys, if you did not already know, BloFin is doing an awesome trading competition right now, and you should join. This is the 2025 Become a Whale competition. And if you want to become a whale, this is a great place to do it because there is a $200,000 prize pool at play right now. You can earn tons of prizes. Right now, we've got different people here in the trading competition that are going to get hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in the trading competition. One person is going to get $23,000. Come over here and join today. Get your trading volume to skyrocket through the roof, and you will earn trading rewards, right? There is currently over $1 billion of trading volume that's occurred, so we've got an $80,000 prize pool, but pretty soon, in the next probably 48 hours, you're going to see us pass $1.5 billion in trading volume, which will be a $120,000 prize pool, so you'll be able to get a huge amount of rewards here in your this trading competition. So make sure to sign up with the link down below. Join under us so that you can get access to these trading rewards, and you're going to be able to get hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars in trading rewards. So sign up for BloFin. It is the exchange that you should be trading on. It's phenomenal. The interface is great. They got all the markets you need. If you're using leverage, please do be careful, but it is here. And if you're going to use leverage, it is the best exchange in crypto to use leverage on. And when you sign up, you also help to support this channel. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to sign up for BloFin with the link in the description box down below if you have not already. Let's read a little bit of chat here. Read a little bit of chat. Okay. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. The bottom line is this. Trump's coming in. There's going to be a United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. You're going to have a lot of states getting a strategic Bitcoin reserve, a lot of nations getting strategic Bitcoin reserves. The public is starting to understand. The public is not fully the stock market. We consider our Bitcoin to be our retirement. We have no interest in selling it anytime soon. There's never a time that we think, okay, yeah, we're gonna sell our Bitcoin. We don't know. Honestly, a good bit of it will probably go to our children after we die. I'm only 24. We're buying Bitcoin to increase our net worth and have options. And we're not doing that where we have to take a withdrawal penalty if we have to fill it out for Roth IRA. We're not doing that. We buy the stock market as we should. Just maxing out your Roth IRA starting at our age is enough to retire on. So we max out our Roth IRA in the United States stock market. We pay down our mortgage and we buy Bitcoin. That's what we do. That's how we do it. So we continue to do that, and we continue to do that, and we continue to do that. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to check out Uphold. If you have not already checked out Uphold, you should. Excellent place to build your cryptocurrency home so that you can... this is where you can do your fiat to cryptocurrency gateway. This is where you can find new coins. They've got a bunch of new coins. This is where you can store your cash in a high yield savings account style here in US dollars, so you can deploy that cash on a regular basis. You can do dollar cost averaging here. They are completely and fully backed, 100% reserved, totally safe. And they've also got a vault, which, if you aren't already aware, is a place that you can store your Bitcoin. Excellent option for storing your Bitcoin long term. So if you haven't done those things, make sure to sign up for Uphold with the link in the description box down below. Sign up for Lux Algo, NordVPN, and BloFin as well. Helps to support the channel when you sign up for like Jeb's Tool Bag down there, all those different options. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more content. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.